Appalachian Community Coalition. And I have with me two urban Appalachians that I have come into contact with over the years through my teaching. And so could you just tell us your names and where you live currently?
Yeah, my name's Dezire Lowry. I live in Walnut Hills right now. But grew up in Madisonville, sort of.
Okay.
And I'm Veronica Hall. I'm Desire's mom, and I currently live in Oakley, but we basically grew up in Madisonville.
Very good. Yes. Well, we're neighbors too. That's great. How about your Appalachian roots? Where are your Appalachian roots?
Well, that would come from my mom and dad, Mally and Isaiah Witt. They're from Hazard County, Kentucky. They moved up here. Dad was probably 18 going in the military, and they got married, and they've been living up here in Cincinnati ever since.
Mm-hmm. And so you were brought up then, Ronnie, up here then, rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
So how often did you visit back home?
Well, back home, I visited maybe a minimal time when I was little, 1 or 2 times. I didn't really feel welcome down there. I don't know how to say it, but I have a different father than the rest of the kids, and he's actually African American, and down there in that time, Black folks really weren't around, and so mom and dad didn't feel comfortable taking me down there very often. But probably 2 times when I was a minor, and 3 or 4 times as an adult, I finally felt comfortable enough to go to like our Campbell family reunions and stuff.
Good. Desi, how about your ventures down there with your mom?
Yeah. I just learned in talking about this that I was there when I was like 3. Unfortunately, it's usually for major events like funerals or family reunions. Those are the opportunities that we get to go to see extended family. So the first time I went was 3 for
my father, her grandma. This was her great grandma Witt's funeral.
And that's, I have a memory of that. And then we went again for Papa Perry's funeral,
which is my mother's father.
Okay.
So he came up to Cincinnati. What year was that, Mom?
I'm not sure the year, but he was up here because he got turned real sick. So mom and my sister went down there to bring him up here. And he literally didn't even get to spend a night at mom's house and ended up in the hospital and chose not to do his dialysis. And he headed home to the Lord. It was his choice. And I feel like he came up here to make his peace with me, because he was probably the main one that didn't accept me in the family, and I'm his biological granddaughter like the rest of them. But my Aunt Serena, his sister, at the service said, hey, your grandfather was saved. And so in my heart of hearts, I feel like he came up here to make peace with me, because we did have words, and I told him I always loved him and I forgive him for anything. And literally probably 3 days later, he was gone.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us. What a story.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you know your grandparents, people, any of their ancestors, or do you know how far back in Perry County or the Hazard area you go to?
Well, my mom was actually, my grandfather, Perry Campbell, is my mother's father. He didn't raise her. His mother, my great grandmother, Malvy, is actually who raised my mom and dad, or raised my mom and dad, raised my mom,
Close.
But she was a Milliam down there, and
Way back.
But she lived to be 97, 98 years old, and pretty much grandpa lived in his 90s. His siblings, we just lost the final of his brothers 2 years ago, my great uncle Julius, and he was 94. They were all coal miners, and Papa had black lungs disease, and he still lived to be a ripe old, I think he was 92.
Yeah. What are your, I'm sorry, go ahead, Desi.
Oh, I did, just to try to find my more Black side of my ancestry. I did some sort of ancestry test. Didn't get really far with African American, but I did get kind of far with my mammal's side of the family, and that goes way back, probably because we've done so many studies and everyone is kind of in the same cemetery down there. So there's like actual pictures of like great 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 grandparents or great great uncles and everything. So it goes back pretty like far. I
Yeah.
think I got to like the 1800s.
Yeah.
Mhm. Wow.
You know, so, yeah. So
Which cemetery is that? Do you remember?
shoot, there's some stuff that I definitely need to look up.
Okay. Yeah, that's
I just remember we got caught on the hill there. It was
Right.
you got
It's
caught
a
on the
very
hill.
pretty, you have to go up the side of a mountain
Sure. Yeah.
to get to this cemetery. So
Yeah.
we were down there and I was trying to take mom and dad up to see the cemetery. I was driving a stick shift, so I got halfway up there and I had to put them out to walk the rest of the way. So I never got to see the cemetery, but you know, it's always well kept by my cousin Linda Witt. She lives down there still and she's in her 70s. And like I was telling you before, she's like our family historian. So if any other
Yeah.
information is needed,
She uploaded most of that.
reach out to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always great to, are there other sort of storytellers and history keepers besides any that you've mentioned in your family?
Linda's the storyteller pretty much. Everything goes through her. I can sit and listen to my mom and dad forever. They have very good memories about growing up down there. I can show them a picture that Linda posted and dad, it could be a little kid in a pair of overalls and oh, that's little Tommy so-and-so. And he has a very good memory and so does mom.
Very good. Yeah. So that is in Hazard, you know, yes, the rest of your family's still in Hazard or in the Hazard area.
Yeah, we
Or
still have a
Campbell.
lot. My brother, we have my papa's house is still down there. So we call that my brother Vernon's summer home because he goes down there and, you know, stays for weekends, takes the grandkids down and stuff. So,
Yeah.
you know, he loves it down there. He lived down there, but there's not really that many jobs and stuff because his wife, she's straight from Hazard and she's actually our cousin. So this is a lot to do with the smallness of it down there as our grandparents were actually brother and sister.
Now, wait a minute. What? Oh, wait a minute. You mean separate brothers and sisters? What do you mean?
Well, my brother Vernon married my cousin Carla.
Okay.
Our grandparents were brother and sister.
Oh, I get you. Okay.
Yeah, my Papa Perry and her grandmother Nanny were brother and sister, and my brother married Carla probably 10 years ago.
Okay. All right.
Shotgun wedding, everybody was kinfolk.
Yes. So Desi, you grew up, as you say, and your mom too, in Madisonville. Once the family kind of moved up this way, what do you remember about growing up in Madisonville?
Yeah. So just to preface it, mom's the youngest of six. So, and they didn't move to Madisonville until
I was going to be a fifth grader at Bramble. We grew up or the older ones pretty much grew up in Walnut Hills, Tipper Lane, but we moved out here when I was going into the fifth grade at Bramble.
Bramble School, yeah.
Mom got a job at Menino's grocery store.
Really? Oh my goodness, how long did she work there?
Oh, she worked there from the time I was in the fifth grade till well after I graduated high school.
Yeah, because my family, we moved out here in 1981. And of course, everybody went to Menino's, and
yeah,
I had taught some of Mr. Menino's sons.
Right.
Yeah, so
Miss
wow.
Johnny literally just passed away a few months ago.
Yeah, Johnny, yes.
But she, mom was the little short white lady on the register by the produce. Mally.
What was her first name?
Mally. You had Mally and Molly. Molly was a little light-skinned lady on the other register, and Mally was the little short white lady on the one side where they had the little produce stand at.
All right, very good. So all these connections, there are a lot of Southerners, not necessarily Appalachians, who have come to Madisonville over the years. My next door neighbors were from Alabama, and you know, so there's always been some Southern and a lot of Appalachian connection out here in this neighborhood. So that's been part of it. That's been very interesting. What else would you like to say about having come from there and having come to here, in terms of just your experience of coming from someplace and coming to someplace else?
As far as like the country or just from Walnut Hills to Madisonville in general?
So from the country, from down
From the country? Well, I mean, I didn't get a lot of the country growing up, but I always was kind of jealous of my older siblings. The first four, my brother and my three older sisters, they would go down there, in the summertime and spend all the time in the world. And I was really excited to go down there and visit. It's so quiet and peaceful. And, I was kind of hurt because once I became older, I understood why I didn't get to make some of those trips, and
Yeah.
one of my cousins, we had a long talk and stuff. And she said that, my birth kind of caused a little ruckus down there, but my great grandmother, the one that raised my mom, she accepted me. And, she used to get after her son, my papa, like, hey, that's still your granddaughter. And, but like I said, I forgive him. He grew up in a whole nother world, whole different time, but I just, didn't understand why then, but now I do. And I forgive, I let stuff go. And I'm still a country girl at heart, even though I didn't get to go to the country much. I grew up under my dad, he was a big John Wayne fan. Any kind of sorry horse shit and gun smoke movie that came on TV, I'm right here by his side, and he taught me to do everything,
Yeah.
I think I went to Hazard or to visit family more than you did, because
she actually has.
Yeah, my cousin used me as a scapegoat a lot of time to like go down there.
She was from Hazard.
Yeah, my cousin, my double cousin.
Yeah, so double cousin. My niece cousin.
We would go down there and stay in Papal Perry's trailer. And that's where I like actually got to connect with people, was family reunions. And it's just like quiet, and it just feels very different than up here. Like everyone knows each other, either from, well, there's probably only a certain amount of high schools, but everybody's gone to high school together or like knows someone through someone, versus here. And you only get to really hear about it through stories a lot of the time that my grandparents are willing to share, or that they like remember. There's a lot of things you don't really think to ask. Or like you learn through different family members, but yeah, like when I do go there, I do feel a part of my history. Even like with the way like Mammal talks and stuff about like spirituality, that's something like I've noticed is like I've been reading more into like African or African American spirituality before like Christianity and everything. And even some of the things she says, like having dreams and stuff, like it seems like it's like very parallel to like the real world, but like she'll talk about family members who have passed, or even Debo, our dog, passed, saying I had a dream about them like right after passing. And like things like that, and that kind of ties back to hoodoo, so even if we have different backgrounds, they're all like kind of tied together beyond like that union between my mammal and your father, like it all ties back to the same history.
Yeah, and I always remember those stories Mama would say about great granny making the mountains shake. She'd be praying so hard because her son, my great uncle Earl, was a POW in World War II for over a year and a half, and she would make the mountains shake and her feet barely touched the ground. And it just sends chills down your spine, because there's been times when my mom has kind of shocked us all with her premonitions, or whatever you want to call them, and it's real, but yeah,
and it's not like devil worship, and like my ancestors have done that, like we all believe in a higher power, so it's interesting to see, even from
like there's this many religions, but they all point up. So
yeah, so but you just like think about like the ways it's studied, and how like we're Baptist, they're raised Baptist, and like that's really strict Christian, but she's having like dreams about like our late Aunt Kathy, or my late Aunt Kathy, my late Aunt Tina.
My
like
2 sisters have passed.
She'll have dreams either like before or after.
Sister Kathy was before. She'd been in the hospital with some bad stuff going on this past July, and she was supposed to go to the nursing home to finish everything up, and then everything just went south in a matter of a day. And mom said, Kathy came to me. She was standing in the doorway right there, just cleaned up pretty, just, and like, we just all felt like that was just her way of saying, Mom, I'm going to be okay. You know?
So yeah,
What a wonderful place. We're out of time. What a wonderful, that visitation, that appearance. What a great place to end our first conversation with. And perhaps we'll have another one, and perhaps we'll talk to Granny and Grandpa. And,
That's right.
they're
Okay.
ornery,
They're ornery.
Uh-oh,
Just
okay.
ornery.
but they like talking about each other.
That's
So,
right.
or disagreeing and
Okay.
saying that's not what happened.
All
So
right.
hopefully a second installment from their perspective.
That would be great. Okay, this has been Dezire Lowry and her mom, Veronica
Right, you remember
Hall.
that.
Yeah, and I hope we'll see you again, but thank you for participating in the Urban Appalachian Community Council Coalition's story gathering. It's been
No
wonderful.
problem.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thanks.